So what is qualitative research? Qualitative research can shift during the course of the study. According to Van den Hoenerd, researchers are able to better understand the social small-scale settings or everyday lives of the research participant, and the results usually formulate in non-numerical or narrative form. Now, why conduct qualitative research? According to Van den Hoenerd, in qualitative research, participants are able to acknowledge and state what is significant in their experiences. Qualitative research gathers information that would otherwise be missed through closed-ended survey questions. For example, a newly married couple in qualitative research is able to discuss the impact of having kids through their own words, opposed to predetermined statements that might not apply to them. Why are focus groups useful? Imagine having a one-on-one interaction with a researcher and how intimidating and awkward that may be. A focus group, on the other hand, takes place in a group atmosphere which may make the participant feel more at ease. Focus groups can give researchers the opportunity to explore various topics on which a lot of information may not be known. Our very own sociology department is using this method in effort to get feedback and improve interaction with students in the faculty. And oh yes, for the researcher who is probably paying off his or her university loans, it is definitely a money saver. What is epistemology? Epistemology is a theory of knowing. What epistemology do focus groups align with? Out of the four central epistemologies, we believe focus groups tend to connect with the epistemology of radical social constructionism. Why, you may ask? Because the data it produces is through the individuals and groups who create it. It is socially constructed through discussion and meaning-making in focus group discussions. For instance, focus group participants may attach and construct meanings to students based on their GPA standing. A 4.0 GPA student may be perceived as nerdy. In this way, these meanings are then brought into discussion. Now let's look at examples of focus groups. In a study by Newmark Stainer, 21 focus groups were used to discuss the factors that influence kids' choices of foods in Minnesota. The kids were in 7th and 10th grade, and the final findings found that what influences food choices by kids were due to mainly food's appealingness, availability, and time, as well as the time and convenience. This study provides possible solutions to a more healthier environment through education and self-awareness. One interesting thing about this study is that even at such a young age, these kids who participated in this focus group realized that health is important in factoring between food choices. In our second example, a total of 70 African American participants attended one of 11 focus groups that discussed barriers and facilitators in Alzheimer's disease research. Each focus group session lasted 90 minutes, was audio recorded, and each main question was followed by probes. Probes are questions for further clarification and understanding. All these aspects contribute to a typical focus group setting. One interesting thing about this study was that the focus group attendees pushed for the researchers to establish connections with the African American community. In the same way, in Sunseri's Indigenous Voice Matters, Sunseri discusses the concept of the seen face, in which the researchers should establish community ties and become familiar with the indigenous communities. Our third example involves Paul Lazarsfeld and Robert K. Merton, who employed the use of focus groups in 1941. The focus group method, called the focus interview, was used to determine the influence of media on the attitudes people harbored regarding the USA involvement in World War II. At first, participants were asked to listen to radio channels that they were in favor of the war, then to push buttons to indicate their positiveness or negativeness. However, an alternative route was chosen, where participants could answer more freely in an unstructured setting and in their own words. One interesting thing about this research is that Robert K. Merton and Paul Lazarsfeld both agreed that participants pressing buttons to relay their attitudes on the war was not good enough. They realized that they could not capture the complexity of their potential responses.
Participate in a focus group near you. check out these links.